So what I'm working on here is I am on an Illumos kernel. So some people think I'm running Linux. This is not Linux. This is Illumos, which is the fork of OpenSolaris. So if I were to run like a uname, you can see we have SunOS, and I think uname. Actually, wait. Can I do OS release? Do I have that? Hey, I do. Yeah, so I'm running. The distribution is OmniOS, OmniOS Community Edition. And that's what I'm running, and is running off of the Illumos kernel. So Illumos, to manage its services, just like Ubuntu would have systemctl, or Void Linux would have the sv command for runit. This has svcs. SVCS will list my services. So these are all the services running on this machine. Not every service has a PID associated with it. So some of these services are kind of like, I think systemd has the concept of one shot. Some of these system services are just one shot. They just run a script or they run a command and then they're done. And they go into the online state. Other ones are continually running. So like, for example, SSH would be something that I know is running. So I could do svcs SSH and I can see it's online. I can do svcs-p SSH and I can find the associated PID with it. There's other things you can do. I think svcs-l PSSH. Yes, this is a long listing. This is super useful. So this tells you everything you know about SSH, and this is what the output looks like. So there's other commands. There's like svc-adium. I can do svc-adium restart SSH. This is safe to run because it's going to fail because I'm running as the user Dave. It's going to get permission denied because I need to sudo it. So what's happening is I'm working on a command to basically abstract this or wrap this. It literally is wrapping the svcs and svc-adium commands, and I'm working on a command to prettify it. Just make it pretty. That's all I'm doing here. So if we cargo run my command, let's run it with -h. I might have to recompile. I don't remember if I changed anything. There's all sorts of subcommands. So we have a disable, enable, list, log, and status. So disable would disable service, enable would enable it, obviously, list to list services, log to get the service log files, and status to get the service status. So we can do list, and we get the same output as before, but look, it's all colorized. We can see if there's a contract associated, which means there's processes running, so I can see the number of PIDs and how long ago this process was started. So I can look down and see like, oh, hey, look, SAC has 2 PIDs associated with it under contract 742. Contracts is an Illumos, like Solaris type of thing. I think Linux has namespaces or C groups. I don't know much about them. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But I think that's like probably the closest analog to it. But from here, we could do status, SSH. And then this output's bad. The output's bad. It should be sorted. This is what I'm working on. This should be at the bottom of it. But long story short, this gives you a nice color output where I can see like, oh, SSH, here it is. It's online. It's the SSH server. It was started 4 months ago. It's running on the zone arbiter. It has this contract. These are the PIDs associated with it. 8 dependencies, 1 dependent, and 1 log file. So the 8 dependencies are here. The 1 dependent is here. And the 1 log file is here. So obviously the output's out of order. It's not great. I need to fix that. That's what I was working on today. Dude, literally such a wild coincidence. I just came from aliasing a bunch of systemctl commands because I hate writing it. Yeah, I get that. I don't deal with systemctl much on Void Linux. Actually, I could show you guys this. Actually, Linux doesn't have contracts because Linux sucks. Yeah, Linux doesn't have contracts. I think they have C groups and namespaces. I believe you can get something similar to it, but again, I don't know much about it. But here, I'll SSH into Void. This is a machine that's running Void Linux. It's a virtual machine. But so if I wanted to see what services are running, I could do sv var service star because each service is a directory. So we're just going to glob over them. Oh, is it status? Oh, sorry. I haven't run this command in so long. Status. And then it fails because it's not able to open them. So let's sudo it. So here's what it would look like on Void Linux if I were to do run it manually. So I'd have to type in the exact path, and this is what the output looks like. Here's what VSV looks like, the Void Service Manager. When I run this, look at that output. Way prettier. We have colors. We have the PID associated with it. If it's running, if it's enabled, the name of the command that's running, how long ago it was ran. And there's all sorts of flags you can give VSV. So I think VSV has like -t, which will give you the tree. So we can actually see like, oh yeah, Docker's running, and here's all the Docker crap. SSHD is running, and we can see everything that's associated with it. So VSV is sort of what inspired me. And VSV I wrote it. So like I'm the author of this command. I wrote it for Void. Now I'm writing it for SMF on Illumos. So that's my goal here. Let's see, what exactly is this entire system meant to do? I'm a complete noob, and why build something on SunOS in the first place? It's just what I'm running on my server downstairs. So the server downstairs does a whole bunch of stuff. It's my Plex server. I back up my data to it. It does all sorts of different tasks. It's my DNS server, it's my DHCP server, and I'm comfortable with Illumos. I can build zones instead of containers. Zones are like containers, similar concept. It feels weird saying that, but yeah, you can think of zones like containers, and then I can run hardware virtualization on top of it. So this Void VM is running on my server. Arbiter is running on the server. If I log into the hypervisor, I can log into the bare metal itself. You can see on the global zone here, I can do a Z-Adium list, and this will list all my zones. So this is the physical hardware that's running all these zones. So you can see like Void is running on them. What was the other one we were in? Arbiter. These are all just VMs that are running. So this thing is running, this many VMs. This machine is a powerhouse. So like PSR info-VP, we can see is a 32 core processor. So 32 physical cores, 64 threads, 64 virtual processors. So if I were to run HTOP, you'll see like there's 64 of them, 256 gigs of RAM. I can do pert conf grep mem, and we can see, 256 gigs of RAM on this bad boy. Do I have that command? What was that command that I wrote? I wrote a command for this. OmniFetch? Yeah, OmniFetch. Oh, the dragon didn't show up. There's a dragon here in ASCII. I don't know why that didn't show up. If I pipe it to cat. There he is. I don't know why he didn't show up. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, we can see I'm running OmniOS, 64 of these processors, up 134 days. We have 256 gigs of RAM. We got 88 services running, 20 zones running. And we have 2 ZFS pools. So we have a 65 terabyte pool and a 4 terabyte pool, effectively. So this is my powerhouse server.